The purpose of this video is to demonstrate how you can add in some run lines in order to make a design stitch more efficiently. Sometimes this method is called seeding a design. I had to search around a little bit in some of my purchase designs to find something that would be a good example. And I finally came across this one. And one of the clues that you might sometimes have that you have a design that might have too many jumps in it is when you start zooming in on it and look at it, sometimes you'll start to see all these little tie-offs, little extra stitches that might be here and there within the design. And that might be an indication that this might be a design that might have a lot of jumps. The other way that you're going to verify that is if you turn off the true view and look at it in the stitch mode, you're going to see all of these little tiny circles and little triangles. Well, what those are, if you don't already know it, is every time you see a little circle, that is where an object is going to begin sewing. And when you see a little triangle, that is going to show you where an object or a clump of stitches is going to stop sewing. So as we look at this little section right in here, there is a lot of little tie-ins and tie-offs. So that is going to be a clue to you of the fact that this might not stitch very efficiently. The other thing that you will begin to notice is that you will sometimes be able to see the little dotted lines that are jumping in between objects. Let me see if I change my background color here to white. That might help matters a little bit. For some reason, this is a little bit dull. Might help, might not. But anyway, you sometimes can see the little jumps in between as well. So I'm hoping that this design is going to be a good one. I did not test this out before I started the video. All right, so what do we want to do? Let's take a look at, let's just say we want to only see this section right in here, okay? And the way that you do this is you don't have to select the object like I just did. What you want to do is on your, has to be, cannot be in true view. It does have to be in just the regular design view. And you need to hit the home key on your keyboard. And when you do that, the design is going to turn black. That's the default color for showing stitches that have not yet been stitches. So what home is it's showing us that we are going to walk through this design. Right here's the little maze box, which is showing that that's where the design ended at. And when we start hitting the arrow keys on our keyboard, if I hit the forward arrow, it's going to start jumping stitch by stitch. So in essence, what I'm doing here is I'm stitching through the design, all right, just by hitting my arrow button. If I hit the downward arrow, I'm going to start jumping by, I think it's 5 stitches at a time. So we're going to start seeing that I'm stitching through here, right? All right, what we're going to notice is right over here, we're going to start approaching a little triangle. That triangle is showing us that this section is now finished. And I will mention this is just a JEF file for a Janome machine. You're going to see this little dotted line here. See that? This is showing that it's stopping here and it's going to jump over to here. That's what that dotted line is. So what we're going to do right now is I'm not going to leap by 5 stitches. I'm going to go one at a time by hitting my forward arrow key, and I'm stopping right here. Right now it's kind of tying off. If I hit the next button, you can see it starting to jump. So I will back up by hitting the backward arrow. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm coming to my digitize toolbox. I'm going to digitize an open shape. We'll choose the single run, and I'm just going to digitize a line from here to that little tiny circle right there. All right, hit the enter key. When I do that, hard to tell, but that little jump just now disappeared. All right, I'm zooming out a little bit so we can see what will happen next. The thing is traveling. And this little section here is not a problem. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get us down to this area over here where I could see that there was a lot of tie-ins and tie-offs. I'm just going to walk through quickly on this design. There probably was a jump in here somewhere. All right, so we're coming down to this section. It looks like it's going to do this one. Don't think that was a real problem. Don't want this to be too prolonged. but I do see a little tie off there. Huh? Okay, it's digitizing a little line. It's now going to come probably over into this area here. Yeah, I'm right. Okay, so now down in here, this is where we're going to hit some jumps. I'm almost certain of it, somewhere around in this, especially when I get over into this area here. So I'm going to go a little fast here. And actually, so right in this area is where my needle is at. I'm advanced through a little bit quicker here. I'm going stitch by stitch because I can see right here I'm going to approach a tie off and I see my dotted line telling me that it's going to jump over to there. Now, if your machine is set for trimming pretty closely, that would mean that you are going to get a little knot here. The machine is going to tie off. It will trim your thread and then it's going to jump over here and continue sewing. So it's hard on the machine when your machine is stitching that way. It can actually even shorten the life of your embroidery machine. So you want to have good pathing. All right, see there? I'm now at the point where I can add in my little line. Make sure your digitize open shape is turned on still. Single run. I'm just going to put a point here. At this point, you know, you kind of sometimes have to look at what has already been stitched. And you might want to go ahead and possibly come back over this direction and then over here so that it's not going to be like a big obvious jump. Okay, hit the enter key. Notice that the little dotted line went away. All right, I'm hoping that you're getting the idea of what I'm doing here. I'll do one more for you. Remember that the downward arrow jumps you through it 5 stitches at a time. So this is where we're headed. This is going to be a tie off and it's going to jump up to there. So let's go 1 stitch at a time. Tying off. Now it's going to start jumping. See that? So I will back up. Digitize open shape is still turned on. That's a nice thing about seeding these designs is that that little function stays on. So what I've just done for this design here is I have eliminated at least 3 trims where the machine would have slowed down to tie off. So that is one way that you can help to improve a design. Once again, this is not a design that I digitized and have an EMB file for. This is a purchased Janome, JEF embroidery design, and this is a really good way that you can fix your designs. I'm going to look at this now. I'm going to hit the end button so we can pretend that the design is completely fixed. I will turn on the True View, and you can see here that I think it was this one right in here where I actually backed up and then, so I didn't add in a funny looking stitch here. All right. I hope this video helps. This is Fabiola Martinez, and I'm happy to try to give some ideas about ways to improve our designs. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.